Steven, what's worse, having no hot water or no internet?
No hot water. Easy.
Well,
Easy.
that was my problem the first few days of this week, and then no internet in my apartment. If you can't tell, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see, but if you're listening or you're watching the live stream, I am currently at the KMBR studio because my Wi-Fi, I noticed this morning before I left to go to work, was not working. And I knew that by the time I got home to do the podcast, it probably wouldn't be working. And sure enough, I just got an email from my apartment complex. It is still a work in progress. So I'm coming to you live from the KMBR studios in downtown San Francisco because this podcast stops for no one, Stephen.
Well, I'll say this. Your camera looks a lot better. The lighting looks a lot better. You're not going to have any police sirens in the background. So already I'm liking more. The only thing I'd have to say, Derek, and I should have said this before, maybe center yourself in the screen a little bit, instead of just there you go. Yeah.
I was kind of slouching.
We need this like a Wes Anderson flick. You know what I mean? Like everyone's centered.
Does Wes Anderson always center his? Is that a thing?
That is Wes Anderson, right?
Is that like a go-to thing of his?
Yeah. If you watch his movies, they're down the middle. That's what makes it so weird. It's because normally it's the thirds, right? The thirds in the screen. Let me see if I can get it in the camera. The thirds, but normally he puts people right in the middle.
Look at you little auteur, knowing your film stuff.
Look, dude, actually I had a couple of semesters of film classes, but still, you learn a little bit.
There you go, a little mise en scène. By the way, if the janitor pops in here, just let him do his thing. He's got to clean the waste baskets because they work hard.
Poor guy.
So yeah, dude. Just your opinion, man. Stephen Langford, Derek Papa. We will get to a lot of shit tonight. We're not going to do for all of our regulars, the Ernies. They've been waiting. The JYOMs or the Jammies, whatever the hell we're calling it. Me and Stephen were like, we haven't thought about this at all. So we got to think of like I was texting him last night. I was like, so what the fuck are we doing? Are we doing like NFL categories or shit we said on the podcast? And he was like, he texted this morning, and we were just like, let's do this after football season. We can figure this out. Like we have no idea what the fuck we're doing with this award show we just kind of pulled out of our ass.
As the great Ron Swanson said in Parks and Recreation, do not half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. We don't want to half-ass the podcast. We don't want to half-ass the awards. So we're going to try and whole-ass the awards on one podcast.
Exactly. So we're going to do that kind of, I think, in between the end of the Super Bowl and the fuckery, and we will find a good time to do the Jammies, because we got a lot to talk about tonight between some legends leaving football or just moving from the teams that they coached for quite some time. We haven't talked at all about the wild card weekend, super wild card weekend. Can't forget the super. All the games that are going down this weekend, actually really good matchups. And then just the Warriors never ends with them right now. It's kind of getting annoying, but I will talk about that with you, Steven. But before all that, yeah, man. So the internet shit's not great, but God, with the weather it is right now, it's super cold here in the Bay Area. And so I know some people that live in different areas on the East Coast or colder climates are like, grow up. There's like in Kansas City this weekend, it's going to be super cold. But the fact that I did not have hot water the last few days was shitty. They fixed that this morning, thank God. But then, of course, the internet goes out. But there's nothing worse than working out in the morning. You're like sweaty as hell. You come back, you're like, oh, thank God I could get warm. Nope. It's super cold. And at that point, you're like, well, I can't go to work stinky. So I hopped my ass in the cold ass shower and I froze my balls off.
Oh, God, man.
Yeah, what are you going to do?
That's the worst. God, you're dressed like B Rabbit from 8 Mile and you're living like B Rabbit from 8 Mile.
Yeah, look, hopefully it's Cheddar Bob that shoots himself in the leg, right?
Yeah, actually you do kind of have more of a Cheddar Bob vibe to you.
Thank you, because he was the loser of the bunch.
He was the nicest guy. Everyone loved him.
Yeah, but then he pulled the gun out, and that's what, shot himself in. He shot himself in the leg or kind of his groinal region.
Yeah, it was more like above the knee. It looked like it was kind of Plaxico Burris like, except Burris's was in the foot.
Yeah, that's right. Plaxico Burris. Um, well, Steven, let's get to some NFL news that happened the last few days here because it's been this NFL coaching carousel, as they call it, has been crazy. I don't think I've ever seen anything like this where big names have lost their jobs. Like we talked about Mike Vrabel, and we're still waiting on Jim Harbaugh to announce that he's not coming back to Michigan, which is what we all expect, but who knows? He could come back. Um, and then on Wednesday, or no, Thursday actually. No, today's Thursday. Wednesday. Getting my days mixed up without any hot water. Thursday, today's Jesus. Wednesday. I'm so off my game tonight. I don't know where the hell I am, but
Do you want me to help you set this up?
no, I think I'm doing a pretty good job, Steven.
Yeah, all right, continue.
Yesterday, we got the news that Pete Carroll is out with the Seattle Seahawks after 14 seasons. Um, and he's going to stay with the organization. I didn't hear him say that, but that's what was reported, that he's going to be an advisor, I guess, kind of like Bob Myers with the Commanders. And then the one that was shocking, I just didn't expect it to happen yesterday on top of the Pete Carroll stuff, was Nick Saban retiring from college football, greatest college football coach of all time. And then today, no shocker at all. It's been talked about for quite some time, but Bill Belichick is mutually agreeing with Robert Kraft to step away from the New England Patriots after 24 seasons at the helm there. So between those three, you could say Hall of Fame coaches, all three have won championships in college football. Well, Pete Carroll doing both college football and the NFL.
Yeah.
Nick Saban winning quite a bit in college and Belichick winning in the NFL. Which one was the most shocking to you that they were stepping away?
Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Pete Carroll, if I had to choose one, because it just felt like that guy could coach forever. And the Seahawks, they're not, I mean, Alabama's never going to be like in a rebuild, but the Seahawks aren't in the same stage as the Patriots. They're not in the same stage as the Titans, nor really actually the Falcons, I guess you could throw into that. But yeah, the Seahawks aren't in the stage where they're in a full-on rebuild like a lot of these teams, and it's just looking like they're looking for a fresh start. No, they don't have the quarterback, but they just built up their defense through the draft. They have DK Metcalf there, who's a pretty solid receiver to build around. Kenneth Walker, not a bad running back, and their offensive line can only get better from here. So I think I was just surprised that Carroll didn't want to give it one more shot and maybe wait till next year when his NFC West foes in the Niners potentially aren't as dominant as they were this year, and maybe give it one more go. But yeah, I'd say it was Pete Carroll. That was number one for me. What about you?
Well, I guess it was the timing of it because he gave an interview a couple days before saying he expects to be back.
Yeah.
I thought the time to get rid of Pete Carroll, I guess, was the season after Russell Wilson. They're having their thing, and then Russell got traded. But
oh God, do you remember that? What did he say? God, he said something where it was insinuated that they weren't trading Wilson, but there were certain words that he threw in there.
Oh yeah, it was.
You're leaving the door open for him to not be the quarterback.
I forget what the actual wording was, but it basically was, at this moment, we're not trading Russell Wilson.
That's right. At this moment. Same way he said, at this time, my job is still here, but that's just at this time.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that offseason they were going to make a move of whether to keep Russell Wilson or Pete Carroll, and they chose Pete Carroll. And he's had pretty good seasons the last 2 years. They kind of snuck into the playoffs last year. Like, they weren't a great team, but they got there. But it was a big surprise considering the trade with Russell Wilson, and Geno Smith got the last laugh there. And then this year, they stumbled towards the end, and they could have been the 7th seed, but the Packers leapfrogged them. So I think that Pete Carroll wanted to coach. It sounds like he wants to coach. Like, I heard the press conference, and he's like, I'm all jacked up. I'm ready to go. And at, how old is he? 72? Like, yeah. He's still full of life. But I don't think he's coaching again. I think that's kind of just unfair because of his age. I think that's what I don't think an NFL team's going to come after him at this point in his life. Kind of unfortunate. I think all these coaches are in their 70s, Saban, Belichick, and Carroll. And I think the only one that's going to continue coaching is Belichick. But as far as Pete, Um, I thought for quite some time that he was gonna eventually be pushed out, and yeah, I mean, look at the division of the NFC West. All
Right.
younger guys. Kyle Shanahan, he's in his early 40s. Sean McVay, still the youngest coach in the NFL, has not hit 40 yet. And
Yeah.
then you got Jonathan Gannon. So that's just the NFL these days. They want younger, offensive minds or defensive minds, whatever your side of the ball is. But I think that Pete Carroll was kind of pushed out. We'll
Yeah.
see if he really wants to have a hands-on approach in the organization, kind of like how Bruce Arians. I know Bruce Arians has a hands-on, job with the Bucks right now, but he's there. He's in the front office. But I don't know what Pete's going to do with the Seahawks. I just think as soon as I saw this news, and then it became a story from Rappaport and Schefter and all the guys that report NFL news that Dan
Uh-huh.
Quinn is the leading candidate for the job. And I always thought when Pete leaves that Dan Quinn would be his successor because they've known each other. They're, tight from the Legion of Boom days. So I think it's only right now that I couldn't find a good landing spot for Dan Quinn before the Seattle job became available. But now that that job is there, I think definitely we're going to see after the Cowboys make whatever playoff run they have that Dan Quinn will be the head coach there.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I'll start with the last thing that you talked about. I'm not entirely convinced Dan Quinn is anything but a good coordinator. He was fine with the Falcons, but I mean, the 28-3 loss is just as much to blame on him as it is, when people blame Kyle Shanahan for whatever reason. It's like the first time I've ever seen an offensive coordinator blamed for giving up that loss. Normally it'd be the head coach. And the other thing with Dan Quinn, it just makes so much sense that, and this is the meanest joke that I ever make, but I'm going to anyway. Hopefully he never sees this and whatever. But
is it gonna be a ball joke?
No, it's more his nose
because you should do the low hanging fruit with that shit.
His nose is very beak shaped, and he started with the Falcons, and now he's going to the Seahawks. It just makes so much sense. The nose is the same on the helmet. He really embodies what a Seahawk is. That was like my first show that I ever did, my first extended show. That was my claim to fame by saying Dan Quinn has the features of a bird.
I've always thought that, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
And I think it's only right that he's the head coach of bird teams because he's got like a bird-like face. Yeah. He reminds me of No, but it's the truth. He kind of looks like the eagle from the Muppets.
Wait, you mean the one at the beginning that's with Rizzo the Rat?
The blue guy.
The blue guy with Rizzo the Rat. That's always like the introductory guy, the narrator.
Did he ever narrate something?
Christmas Carol.
Oh, he narrates that? I just remember
he narrates it and he stars in it. It's
okay. I remember him from Muppet Treasure Island, where he's sailing on the big blue wet thing.
Oh my God, Gonzo. That's it. Gonzo.
No. Not Gonzo.
Wait.
It's the eagle.
Okay.
The blue eagle. That's the Muppets.
Blue Eagle Muppet. We're getting to the that's actually really good.
You know who I'm talking about. Gonzo was an alien, man. Did you ever see Muppets in Space? That's Dan Quinn. There you go.
Yeah, that looks okay. Sam Eagle.
Sam Eagle. Yep, that's him.
That's a great comparison. Never mind Gonzo. Forget I said Gonzo.
No, Gonzo's a whatever.
Ernie 2 is the only one in the chat, and I implore anyone who listens to this to go get involved in the chat. It's fun. I think we have one viewer now on Twitter. We have probably nothing on Instagram, but you know what? For those who see this live, feel free to join it. If you're on YouTube, wherever you are. Jesse's here.
Yeah, we got Jesse too.
Yeah. But we are live on Instagram to anyone who actually listens to this. JYOM. Yeah, we are. We actually are. JYOM podcast. I'm the only one on there, but it's an easy way to watch. Pete Carroll, Seahawks. Yeah, I don't think this is the last we've seen of him.
You don't think so?
You mentioned the name Bruce Arians. That's the primary example, but there's going to be some job that opens up next year, some gig where it's it's another year of disappointment, and Things aren't going well in the organization, and they're in the. He's not going to go to a team that's rebuilding. I'll say that. He's going to go to a team that's in contention, say a team like the Chargers this year, a team that could potentially contend in the future. Like, I don't know, what if for example, what if the Jags have another crappy season under Doug Peterson? How much longer are they going to stick with him? What if I don't know, maybe what if the Packers just stink it up in the playoffs and really suck next year, instead of how it's gone towards the end of this season and all that momentum's gone. Like, I don't know. I think there could be coaching jobs available. But the craziest part to me about all of these is just the little connections. It's like it starts with Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick was the head coach of the Browns, and that's where Nick Saban was his assistant. Nick Saban had gray hair at the time. Yep. And before Belichick went to the Patriots, the head coach they fired was Pete Carroll, which makes room for Belichick, and all three were were done with their jobs in 24 hours. Kind of crazy.
It is crazy, and I think I don't think anyone's had more success in the college ranks and the NFL ranks as much as Pete Carroll. Obviously, he had his success with USC, winning multiple NCAA championships there with Matt Leinart and Reggie Bush, and then when he got the Seahawks job, I was like, that's kind of just his way to hide and get away from all the sanctions that was going on with Reggie Bush and whatever the hell was going on there. But he's the greatest coach in Seahawks history. He got them to be Super Bowl champions. And yeah, I think that he's the most successful college / NFL coach of all time, in my opinion. I don't see him coaching again. I think that in this stage in his life, he's in his 70s. I think that NFL teams, unfortunately, because of the age, are going to be wary to hire him. But it's different for Belichick. I don't know why. Well, because he's won more, and he's just kind of a bigger figure, I guess, in that way. But
yeah,
no, dude, I enjoyed watching his press conference because he's he's a young soul. Like, he's older than Belichick, but you couldn't tell. Like, he's wearing the backwards hat. He's just he's a California surfer dude. He's from the Bay Area, and I will say, I watched the press conference, and when he talked about his wife, where he's like, "Oh, that's my best friend, and it's okay to cry about this," I was like, "Oh, you got me, Pete. You got me." So, I think Pete will be kind of like Bruce Arians, where he sticks around with the Seahawks organization, but I don't see him coaching again.
Nope. And since we're here in the Bay Area, I think there's been a lot of Pete Carroll hate because you're surrounded by it, which is no shock. I mean, he was kind of the big brother to the 49ers for a while there. Although Jim Harbaugh and him had epic battles going back to
Dude, what's your deal?
Yeah. Going back to Stanford and USC, then on to the Niners and Seahawks. And there's no chance that Harbaugh's going to the Seahawks. No shot.
With Pete kind of in a place of somewhat authority there's no way that Harbaugh's answering to Pete.
Yeah, no chance. No chance. So, no, I think both of them, I think, are going to be well sought after, man. I mean, I know we're heading in a younger direction, but there's going to be some team out there that needs somebody to just discipline them a little bit. Not even the word we've used all the time, galvanized, which was a real problem for Tyler Hero. Maybe we should play that towards the end of the podcast. I don't know if you saw that, but
did he have a what was the word that Zion was trying to say the other day?
Oh God. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
All right, excellent.
Ernie 2 will tell us.
God, what was that?
Oh, lackadaisical.
Yeah. No, I think they'll figure out a job somewhere, man. It's just some team is going to want that older coach who has experience, who knows what they're doing, and they need some form of organization, like someone to come in there and like understand what they're doing, because there are some head coaches that just, I mean, I can't imagine with Arthur Smith how the team must have felt about him. I mean, I don't know what the conversations were like, but maybe Arthur Blank was kind of like Mark Davis and went to talk to the players about what this guy does. And the players said, Arthur wasn't right for this. maybe there's another coach out there that isn't right for it, and they need someone who's proven, who knows how to win, who's likable. Bill Belichick, not really the last part of that, but Bill Belichick's Bill Belichick. How are you going to pass up on the greatest of all time?
The good transition, because the Falcons have been rumored to have interest in Bill Belichick, but just to talk about him, stepping away from the New England Patriots today, I loved his opening line when he was coming out today. I was like, oh, it's the most cameras I've seen since we signed Tebow, which is, obviously not true, but I will say it's kind of interesting that he said that, because if you remember correctly, that was like 10 years ago or 9 years, or actually 11 years ago now when they signed Tebow. God, time flies by. That coincided with Aaron Hernandez getting arrested. So there was a reason why there was a shit ton of cameras there, Bill.
Right.
But yeah, dude, I mean, I love me some Bill Belichick. Just an old school coach. He's been around forever. From his days with the Giants, winning championships with Parcells, to then going to Cleveland, to having the 24-year success with the New England Patriots. I don't care for the whole debate of who made the Patriots. Was it Belichick? Was it Brady? I think that's a dumb argument to be had. I think it was just equal parts a great defensive mind and a great quarterback. And I love the way that Belichick handled the media. I can't get enough of him just, yeah, we're moving on to Seattle. And then people are just like, so can we talk about Seattle? Yeah, but it was Seattle. And just Cincinnati, and we're moving on to Cincinnati. He had
but the on to Cincinnati stuff was just after a loss, but the Seattle was to get away from the Trump letter.
Yes, you are correct.
Because he sent a letter to Trump, and then Trump read that in public.
That
Bill was probably like,
and he did not want that to be known, so it was just hilarious when they were like, "Yeah, but you said the letter Seattle."
Yeah,
like it was just more aggressive as time went on. It was like Seattle.
Yeah.
I loved it. I mean, he's kind of like the Greg Popovich of the NFL, obviously, just in their demeanor and how they handle the media. And I do wonder if this was kind of held up a little bit, because I think that Robert Kraft was trying to figure out a way to trade Bill Belichick. And I don't know if this is just kind of too much of me overthinking this, but this took a couple days to finally get done. And it may have just been because it's a 24-year marriage between him and Robert Kraft, so you can't just say you're out of here. Like, it's, you got to say your goodbyes and kiss and make up, and it's a big deal to say goodbye to somebody like that for that long. But then I saw that the Falcons did not interview a single person since firing Arthur Smith Sunday night. And I started thinking, is there a possibility that Arthur Blank is trying to trade for Bill Belichick? So I texted around. I texted John Middlecoff, and I was like, hey, when you trade for a coach, do you have to do the Rooney Rule? Does that apply? And he was like, yeah, I mean, any job opening, you have to, interview a minority coach. So they couldn't just bypass that. But it was interesting today. As soon as they announced that Belichick and Robert Kraft are mutually parting, then you saw all the notifications from Pelissero and Rappaport saying, the Falcons have interviewed this guy. The Falcons have interviewed that guy. I think there's something up where Arthur Blank really wants Bill Belichick. I can't visually see Bill Belichick coaching the Atlanta Falcons, but if I had to pick a destination for him right now, I would say it's probably them.
It's them or the Chargers. I don't know which one.
I don't think the Chargers. I'm going to stick by with Harbaugh. I think they want Harbaugh really badly. Or I mean, Vrabel's going to have interviews soon.
Right. Well, out of those three, which one would you choose right now?
Vrabel.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole situation with the Titans, it sounds like their owner, Amy Adams Strunk. I think that's her name. I love that her name is Amy Adams too, by the way.
Yeah.
They were actually pissed off about the whole Patriots Hall of Fame thing, where he went to go visit Robert Kraft, put on the suit or the jacket, and said nothing about the Titans, just talked about his time with the Patriots, and they were all pissed off about that, which is kind of petty in my opinion. Tom Petty.
Yeah.
But I think that Vrabel is a leader of men. I've heard all the stories that have come out lately about him being so caring to the media. And I think that he's the number one candidate still. I don't know what job he's going to get right now, because I just saw a notification a couple of hours ago from Rappaport saying that Gerard Mayo is probably the leading candidate for the Patriot job, as we all thought. And there does not have to be a whole Rooney Rule application with him. He could just get the job because you can name a successor like that, like the same way that Bruce Arians just gave the job to Todd Bowles. So we'll see about that. I have to believe that Robert Kraft is intrigued with Mike Vrabel being head coach. But yeah, I think Belichick right now is going to coach next season. I thought
Mhm.
I thought the Commanders for a while, but I just read a report that they're not interested. They want to go a different direction, not really, you know, Harbaugh or Belichick. Um, and by the way, sorry, I'm going on a long rant here, but
You are.
all right, well, you chime in then, Steven.
I was just going to dive in and saying Belichick's going to continue with whoever can get him that all-time win record.
Yep, that's true.
Guy like that, like, I don't think he cares about winning another Super Bowl. He already has the most for a head coach, most for any coach, combined now with the defensive coordinator. He's already in the Hall of Fame for his game plan against the Bills in 1990. I think he just wants to break that record and get out. like I really do. Because,
Yeah.
I mean, how are you going to be in the league for that long? You're 71 years old. You've been here since what, the 70s?
Yep.
And you're still here in 2023? And you got a chance to break the all-time record. You got to do it. You just got to stay in the NFL. I don't know who he's going to. Falcons maybe make sense, but any team, I guess, makes sense for Belichick. But besides the Titans, but yeah.
Well, do the Falcons make sense because that division is so shitty that he could just rack up wins and get to those 15 wins quicker than any other team?
Well, there's that, and the Falcons, I'm telling you, I think as long as they somehow find a quarterback somewhere, they got a team that's ready to win.
Yep.
They really do. I mean,
they do.
The Jesse Bates that I talked about on the last pod, he ended up getting voted as a Players All Pro on the first team list from the NFLPA. So he's already trending in that direction. I think they got a really, really good team moving forward, and Belichick's going to be able to get the best out of those better players, those younger players.
Yeah. Now, we'll see what happens with Belichick. It was made abundantly clear today that he still wants to coach, and Robert Kraft even said that. So I have to believe they were thinking of a way to trade him. But as I was texting with John Middlecoff, he told me Belichick's not going to want to go to a place where he's told to be traded to. And not that he would just not agree to anything, but also, like, I thought it was weird last year when Sean Payton, wanted to. I mean, I guess he has no say in the matter, but like going to the Broncos and already having a number one pick used on you kind of defeats the purpose of becoming competitive. So if you're Belichick, you're like, no, don't trade a draft pick for me. I just want to go there. Like this, you're already putting us in a bad position because I'm here, but you needed to trade a first round pick for me. That's ridiculous. So. Right. I think it's gonna be interesting where Belichick goes, but there's a lot of interesting candidates out there that are available. So we'll see what happens with that situation as far as Belichick in the future, and we'll see if the Patriots hire Gerard Mayo or Mike Vrabel. I think those are probably the two candidates that we can all look to. And then there's Nick Saban, and I was texting with Alon, who's our Alabama insider, and he's not surprised that this went down because I watched a couple of features this year with Nick Saban, and all of them were talking about how carefree Nick was this year. He's doing the interviews with Pat McAfee. He's kind of more laid back. He's not yelling at the team as much. Right. It just seemed like he was kind of like he knew going into the season this was going to be it. And he's the greatest college coach of all time, in my opinion, and just dominant year after year. I do expect him to go into the media when this is, when a couple months go by. I wouldn't doubt he's gone College Game Day and part of that analyst crew. Maybe you won't see Lee Corso anymore, or, maybe you will because Saban and him or maybe it was Belichick and him that were getting along. Anyway, the point is that Saban, him and I would, if Belichick, for whatever reason, if Belichick doesn't end up coaching, you saw the documentary, right, where it's Belichick and Saban talking about coaching?
No, I haven't seen that. The Art of Coaching.
God. The Art of Coaching. I highly recommend it because it's fascinating. Like both those guys have huge respect for each other, and they were they were together in Cleveland for 1 year, and it was just hilarious because they showed both of them in their personal lives, like going to their daughter's weddings, and they couldn't look more miserable. And then they like Belichick comes by Saban's office and he's like, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing well." "Yeah, your daughter got married." "Yeah, yours too, huh?" "Yeah, it's a big day." "So what's your schedule like this week?" "Oh, we're practicing, these days and that days." And they just immediately go to football like they couldn't give a shit about their kids. So I would just like when it comes to, and I'm joking, obviously, of course they do, but when it comes to life outside of football, I wonder how both those guys will handle it. Belichick obviously still wants to keep going. But Saban, I just read the report that he went down to Florida for a couple of days and hung out with his wife and just decided that this life is better where he could just chill. So, yeah, I Nick Saban, yeah, greatest college coach of all time, and those are going to be huge shoes to fill.
Well, yeah, obviously. I mean, it was just a total health thing for Nick. I think something else was up too, where he said like, "Look, I can't put this stress on myself anymore. Like
Yeah,
this is a year-round thing." And you could argue that being a college coach is just as hard as being a head coach with all the recruiting you got to do. But although Bill Belichick with his style, I mean, there was a photo that popped up of him at Middle Tennessee State scouting some undrafted linebacker in the rain. And I think he was in his late 60s at that point. So he puts in that extra work too. But yeah, you can make the argument it's just as hard being a college head coach just because it's year round. Um, I don't know if Nick Saban's done either, though.
really?
Like, I don't know. I don't trust him. Like, I don't trust either. I don't trust any of these guys because they're just so addicted to what they do. I don't
Yeah,
trust Pete Carroll will stick as an advisor. I don't trust that Bill Belichick, or Bill Belichick's going to be a head coach for a long time. I don't think he's. God, I mean, the way you hear him answer questions. I mean, guy goes on a 10-minute rant about long snapping for God's
yeah,
sakes.
yeah.
Like this dude's obsessed with it. And it's just an addiction that never goes away. So I don't believe any of these guys will be out. At least Saban and Carroll will be out for that long. I could see Saban going back, but you never know. I mean, I could be completely wrong too. Not saying that it's going to happen, but I'm not shutting the door completely on his career.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into college football. I think that's why that's a big reason why Harbaugh is most likely going to leave Michigan and go to the NFL because you don't have to deal with all of the bullshit and the boosters and recruiting and all that stuff. He could just coach the team, which I think
The
most football.
NCAA
Yeah,
realignment and people want to go into your conference. Like there's a lot of changes coming to college football.
NIL.
Yeah. Yeah. The 12-team college football playoff format. Like maybe Saban doesn't want to get involved there too. It's like, no, I'm one of the best 4 teams in the country. I just don't want to, I'm not going to get involved in a tournament, get upset by not going to get upset by
Middle Tennessee.
Middle Tennessee.
Like they would ever make the CFP.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But no, he mentioned that he was like, the NIL stuff is kind of getting to me. Like I can't, you know, I can't go recruit a player and then have them leave because they're getting a better, whatever deal. So I don't know. I think that out of all, I think between those three guys, I think that Saban's shoe is going to be the hardest to fill because college football is it's just more passionate than the NFL as far as the fans. There's more pride in school, coming from your school and whatnot. So I think that that's going to be tough for whoever takes that on because, I mean, Alabama has been competitive every year that he's coached there.
Yeah.
And whoever that is, I guess Dan Lanning said he's not going to Alabama. Maybe Dabo Sweeney would go. I don't know.
It's I think it's going to be Kalen DeBoer.
You think so, huh? Washington
Yeah.
coach?
Yeah, I saw it. Well, I was talking to my friend Tyler about it, who's like a massive Washington fan, absolutely despises, or excuse me, he's a huge Oregon fan, despises Washington,
Yeah.
like despises them. He woke up this morning and or last night, he texted me about Lanning going to Alabama potentially. And I don't know if anyone saw how those rumors got started, but a local TV anchor in Eugene.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, he did the same. What was it? It was like the same thing with Otani. He basically said that Dan Lanning is in Tuscaloosa right now, and that means that indicates that he could be their head coach in Alabama. And then this morning, this was a real report. It came out from 247 Sports, which I'm pretty sure is a credible source, isn't it?
Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, it said they said that no, Lanning is in Oregon, and my source tells me he was with his family watching Jason Bourne movies.
So that means that came from Dan Lanning.
Yeah.
The question is, which Bourne movie was it?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
If it was the Jeremy Renner one, then we gotta, think twice about Dan Lanning.
Right. If that's true and Oregon somehow doesn't incorporate a Bourne Identity like video introduction with Dan Lanning, like, oh my God, it's Dan Lanning, something like that, as they introduce him onto Otson, and that one local TV anchor just totally wrong. My goodness. But Kalen DeBoer though, a lot of his guys are leaving. They've had a crappy recruiting class this year, and this is all according to Tyler, not me, who's way more plugged in with this stuff. And also, Kalen DeBoer was in Alabama today, and I guess or was in Washington today, and informed his players that he was going to go meet in Tuscaloosa, and that was from like a CBS guy. So, yeah, it's looking more like Kalen DeBoer to Alabama is likely.
Interesting. Well, it'd be funny if they did like a whole, on the 40-Year-Old Virgin where Paul Rudd's like, I thought Matt Damon was kind of a Streisand, but I'm watching these Bourne movies and he's kicking the shit out of people. It's like people are like, yeah, I thought Dan Lanning was kind of like a Chip Kelly guy, but it's more like a Nick Saban, just kicking the shit out of guys. Yeah, that could happen, but it's going to be tough. I mean, the SEC is expanding next year with Texas and Oklahoma going there, so it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Alabama and who takes that job. But yeah, man, between those three guys, it's kind of shaking just football in general, from college football to the NFL. Just big names leaving jobs that they've had for quite some time. But I mean, all those guys, incredible.
The end of an era. Baseball went through it when, and then a couple of other guys came back with Tony La Russa and Bruce Bochy, and I guess some of the old school guys are still around, like Buck Showalter, he's still there. But, it's just a changing of the guard, and eventually it has to happen. We're just not used to it.
Yeah. Which kind of begs the question, how, like in other sports, I was thinking about this today with Belichick having a mutual parting with the Patriots. How long do you think it is? And maybe it's because he just has a longer leash because all the success he's had there. But do you ever think the San Antonio Spurs would tell Popovich, all right, that's enough. We're not winning. You got Wembanyama, but it's not working out. We need to find a younger, better coach.
Well, he's built that franchise, so I think they'd let him dictate whatever he does on his own terms.
You're probably right.
Not kick him out. Because that relationship with Belichick and Kraft really grew sour. Did you watch that introductory press conference, or not that introductory? Did you watch that closing press conference?
I watched bits and pieces today. I didn't watch the whole thing. They didn't kiss because Belichick had a cold, and Bill said thank you.
Yeah.
Was there an awkward moment that I missed?
No, not really. Just both hugs. The one at the start and the one at the end. They just did the one arm across each other. They didn't do like a man hug where they embraced each other like people of 24 years would. They just
but that's Bill though.
Yeah, right. But they just went like that, and then it was just really weird. And you're like, oh, yeah. And good God.
Well, he also had a cold, so I could guess Robert didn't want to get sick from whatever he had. But
no offense to him. Okay, it may be a little bit of offense to him, but God, watching Robert Kraft talk extensively, answering questions, it's tough, like
he's a little slow these days. Yeah,
a little bit. And he's being asked about the team and where they're headed. What's next? How can they get back to where they were? And he's up there saying he's not qualified to answer that. Like, come on. It's not. Yeah, you are. You're the team's owner. You're supposed to give some sort of answer.
Did it sound like Jim Irsay when they fired Frank Reich, where he was like, I don't know how the sausage is made.
Yeah. Yeah.
By the way, I shouldn't joke. I think Jim Irsay's having some health issues at the moment. So, not great.
He'll be back with his band soon enough. I
hope so.
That was the end of that. He was having some respiratory issues, and he couldn't play in Los Angeles. But
okay.
But but don't fret. The Jim
Okay,
Irsay band will be playing again.
I knew. Okay, so my buddy works catering gigs in L.A. and he texted me. He goes, "Yeah, so I'm supposed to work this Jim Irsay experience, but I don't know what the hell that is." And
That's right.
I was like, dude, that's his band. And he was like, his what now? And I was like, dude, yeah, Jim Irsay has a band. He was like, no way. And I was like, dude, look it up. Jim Irsay, traveling band. The man is a rock star.
Oh
Insane.
man.
Let's talk about these wild card playoffs because we haven't got a chance to
Ooh.
go over these games. And I know you and I were kind of questioning whether or not the AFC and NFC playoffs were going to be great because of some of the teams that were going to sneak in. But I got to be honest, all these matchups are pretty good, Steven.
Yeah.
It may not be like the cream of the crop competition in the NFC for the Niners, but as far as just what's on paper this weekend, a lot of interesting stuff. So let's just start with the first matchup that's going to go down on Saturday. You got the Cleveland Browns going to the Houston Texans, and Texans had a great season. CJ Stroud, most likely your offensive rookie of the year, and they played each other earlier this season, actually just a couple of weeks ago. But CJ Stroud did not play. It was Case Keenum, and it was a blowout. I want to say Amari Cooper had like over 200 yards, and yeah, it's going to be interesting. I don't know if Deshaun Watson is going to travel. That is the biggest non-playing story because of obviously him going back to Houston and what went down there with everything from him playing to the massage stuff. But it'd probably be the best interest that he didn't go, to be honest. But yeah, man, Joe Flacco having a comeback story. We'll see if he wins comeback player of the year. And it's just like the differential in age between almost 40-year-old Joe Flacco against rookie CJ Stroud.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the number one storyline. I'm looking forward to this game about as much as any other. Because I know we're going to talk about the Dolphins and Chiefs, Steelers, Bills, Packers, Cowboys, Rams, Lions is actually that might be number one, but
yeah,
God, Texans, Browns is right up there because the Browns got a damn good team. Somehow they've made it through without Nick Chubb. God, that injury. I was thinking about that this season right at the start. Just awful. But the fact that they have a couple of the best secondaries in the league, the Texans are just humming. They're that young, energetic, just fun team to watch. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Browns, they got Myles Garrett, and that's the number one star in the NFL. How's CJ Stroud going to combat that? How's their offensive line going to combat that? Although they got one of the better offensive linemen and Laramie Tunsil on their team at right tackle. So that's going to be a hell of a matchup. Yeah. And then Joe Flacco is just going to be slinging it because for all he knows, this could be the last game he ever plays. So I think this first matchup is as good as it gets.
No, it is. Did you say that Myles Garrett's the number one star in football?
One of them. At his position. Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm with you there. He probably has the best body in all the NFL. You see that guy shirtless?
Dude, it's unreal.
It's insane.
It's gross how strong he is, how chiseled he is.
It's not gross. You're jealous.
Yes. Exactly. I wish I was like that. Not really,
Speaking of the defense, Denzel Ward, I guess, had a knee injury today in practice, so we'll see if he plays. That could be huge in that matchup. Huge. But as far as what the Browns have done this season, I hear everybody talking about Dan Campbell getting Coach of the Year or DeMeco Ryans, the great stories. But the fact that this guy lost his starting quarterback in Deshaun Watson and he lost Nick Chubb, and they are, the 5th seed in the AFC playoffs. I mean, that's huge. I think he's hands down Coach of the Year. So
you think he's hands down?
I think so, man. I mean, for what that he's accomplished, 4 different starting quarterbacks, them having the best defense. I mean, arguably one of the best defenses in football. That's not him. That's Jim Schwartz. But yeah, man, I think it's clear that it's Kevin Stefanski. I know that he's already won Coach of the Year a couple of years ago, but Dan Campbell had a good season last year. They were 9-8. And DeMeco, yeah, it's a big turnaround, but for like what the category is, Coach of the Year, shit, man. I mean, he got that team to 11 wins with some of his biggest names not being out there.
Yeah, no, it's true. And he right now he is the heavy favorite to win. He's at -950. But
is he now?
Yeah, but DeMeco Ryans is a close second. D'Amico Ryans is at
Where's
plus.
Dan Campbell on there?
He's fourth.
Well, that
He's fourth.
changed. A couple of weeks ago,
it's Stefanski, Ryan, Steichen, Campbell.
Okay, all right.
So that makes sense. I don't have any problem with that list.
No, not at all.
Yeah. Then John Harbaugh's plus 2,200. Those are the top 5 right there.
Okay. Well, just as far as this game, Steven, let's go ahead and pick it. So we got the Cleveland Browns being the road favorites, favored by 2, and the over-under is 44.5.
I think that Denzel Ward injury is going to be huge. And let me again pull that up. All right. I'm going to take the Texans to win outright in this one.
Wow.
Yeah. They're at home, 10-7, even though, the Browns were the better team. Can't forget about that AFC North. Dude, I really think they win their first playoff game. This is going to be the true breakout party for CJ Stroud, for those who maybe couldn't have watched him. I just think everything's in their favor right now with D'Amico Ryans. I think they're really just humming, especially with Stroud under center. So give me the Texans to win and give me the over 44.5.
I like it.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what I think is going to happen or more what I want to happen.
No, I hear you. I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. I just think that the experience of Joe Flacco will come into play here, and the experience of Kevin Stefanski. He's won a playoff game. He went into Pittsburgh. Actually, he didn't go there. He had COVID and missed that game. But he's been to the playoffs before. And, CJ Stroud's a nice story. He's very impressive this season, but
a nice story? What are you talking about? A nice story? He's had one of the greatest rookie seasons we've ever seen.
Okay, that sounded condescending. He's had, yes, one of the best rookie seasons we've ever seen for a quarterback. Not MVP. I thought that was ridiculous at that time, that story. But I think that, yes, CJ Stroud, amazing season, but I think his inexperience, D'Amico's inexperience will show here. And, yeah, I just think the Browns are a better team. I would feel more comfortable if this game was in Cleveland, obviously, for the weather reasons and whatnot. But I think that the Browns get things done. So I'm going to take the Browns to win. I'm going to lay the points. And it's 44.5. I'll go under. I'm going to go under. It's playoff time. Not many points scored. All right. Then we got the Peacock game that everyone's pissed off about. We got the Miami Dolphins. I'm not, Steven, although I might be if my internet's not working in time. I'll tell you that.
You wouldn't be able to watch it anyway if your internet wasn't working.
No, I have Peacock.
No, but you got YouTube TV, like I'm saying, or if you had it on NBC, if this was a national broadcast, would it matter?
Well, no, I have YouTube TV. I don't have any rabbit ears anymore.
Exactly. There you go.
Well, that's what cutting the cord will do sometimes. If your internet's out, you're totally fucked.
I'm just going to look. I'll just tell you this before because we're going to sit here and argue about the game being on Peacock. We've already done that. But Amazon Prime experienced like a huge jump in viewership numbers.
No doubt.
This year compared to the first year. I think people were out of it, and then they kind of realized that we are all such sick football freaks we would be willing to pay for this thing. And I am so excited to see how many people next year sign up for a membership, meant to cancel it within the time that they just watched the game, forgot to cancel it, and they're paying $5 a month until next season.
There's going to be so many people that are like, I got to do this shit. I got to buy this stupid app to watch this unbelievable playoff game. Oh, they got every season of The Office on here? Well, that's not too bad.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good channel if people look it up.
They got Twisted Metal, the show, on here. They got Pete Davidson's show on here. I'm in. I'm all a part of the cock, baby.
They got all the Saw movies?
And that's probably what Oppenheimer's going to be on. It's a Universal movie, and that's the brand of NBC or whatever. So yeah, I think people are going to complain, but you're totally right. I was going to say this last podcast, we're all suckers. Like, if you told people you got to pay $500 to watch an NFL playoff game, they'll bitch and complain, but they'll fucking do it. Like the NFL could flex nuts in this whole situation, because yes, this is crazy that they're doing this. But also, we're all going to fucking do it because it's the Chiefs and the Dolphins. You're going to watch it.
Ernie, too. Not me. See, there's going to be a lot of people like that. And
that's fair.
And for whatever reason, you're going to miss it. It's going to be a fantastic game. And then you're going to get it next year. That's how it works.
Well, this is what I'm concerned about. So my plan is to go to San Jose to meet up with our buddy A. Scott to watch the games. And I asked him, "Do we know for sure that these bars have Peacock?" He's like, "I have no clue." So that's going to be interesting because
Oh, you're going down on Saturday?
yeah.
Oh, all right.
What?
I
You're
thought you were
taking
in the Bay Area, bro.
San
I
Jose
thought you
doesn't.
were in. I thought you were in Oakland or whatever.
Well, I thought you're taking pictures.
Well, it's raining.
Oh shit!
It's likely postponed.
Do you want to meet us at San Jose?
Maybe.
All right, we'll talk, or I may tell A. Scott to come to me. Um, but yeah, I mean, okay. Peacock aside, let's just talk about this game. So this is huge too because Tyreek Hill's going back to Arrowhead. I mean, we all saw the schedule come out this season, and it's like, oh, Chiefs or Dolphins at Chiefs. It's going to be awesome in Germany. Well, that sucks. We're not going to see Tyreek Hill go back home, and now we will. But the weather in this forecast is insane. It's going to be one of the coldest games in NFL history. But you know what? That's always hyped up, and it never comes to fruition. Like I've heard that a couple times, and the NFL's been kind of soft lately with cold games. Like there's talk about moving the Steelers Bills game because it's going to be too cold. Fuck that. Like that's the whole point of having home field advantage. It needs to be snowing, and I love watching snow games. I absolutely love it. So I cannot wait watch. I cannot wait to watch Dolphins and Chiefs. And I guess the wind chill is going to be -30, which sounds insane. It's going to be a primetime game late at night with the way that weather is. And I'll say right now, with the injuries the Dolphins have and the fact they have to play in these climates, no chance, probably.
The ball's going to be rock hard. The ground's going to be concrete. Oh, the field's going to be concrete. It is going to be the worst. I feel terrible for these guys that I got to go out there and play it. But I'll be in the confines of maybe my home in a nice warm room with a couch. So I will happily watch this.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, dude, let's pick this game. Chiefs are 4.5-point favorites. The over/under is 43.5. Which way are you going on this one?
Yeah, lay the points
for Chiefs.
just lay the points for the Chiefs and give me the under.
Yeah. If this game was in Miami, oh sorry, you're taking the under or the over?
The under.
Okay, yeah. I just think some teams just get it right in the postseason. Not to say that this is going to mean that the Chiefs are going to go on some playoff run, but Andy Reid, I think, has an advantage over Mike McDaniel. So, yeah, I'm going to go with the Chiefs. I'm going to lay those points. And, yeah, I don't see Tua being comfortable. He's not playing with gloves. I don't know if Raheem Mostert's going to play. I don't know if Jalen Waddle's going to play. So, yeah, I'm taking the Chiefs. I'm laying the points. I'm going under the same exact thing as you.
Yep.
And then we got the Sunday morning game. We got Steelers at the Buffalo Bills. This is probably, I guess, I don't know, maybe the least attractive game. But then again, no, there's some fun to it. Steelers play good defense. Mason Rudolph's going to play. He's going to start. And we'll see about Gabe Davis for the Bills. It sounds like he's maybe not going to play. But Khalil Shakir did well in filling in for him during the Miami game, and so did Deontay Hardy. And the Bills are actually learning how to run the football and use their tight ends more. And this is the biggest spread of the weekend. Bills are favored by 10, and the over/under is 35.5.
Yeah, you built it up. This game's not exciting at all.
Okay.
This is not exciting at all. TJ Watt's not available. I don't think
that's true too.
They have been building it up with the run. And it's definitely going to be a cold weather game there in Buffalo, but the Bills defense has been humming as of late too. So I don't think this is going to be a very fun game. I'll just give me lay the 10 with Buffalo and screw it. Give me the over. Maybe they'll score a couple of points on there. I mean, 35.5 is an extremely small number, but I'm not looking forward to this game at all.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Buffalo. They have something right now, and I think that they could beat up on the Steelers. 10's a lot. 10's a lot. 10's a lot in the playoffs. I haven't thought about this. I'm gonna lay the points. I just think the Bills are gonna rout them. but I don't see a lot of points being scored on the other end for the Steelers, so I'm going to go under. So I'll take the Bills, lay the points, go under on that one. Then we got the afternoon game on Sunday, the Green Bay Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. Old-fashioned game from the 90s when Brett Favre was playing against Emmitt Smith. And the last time these two teams played in the postseason, Aaron Rodgers upset the Dak Prescott Cowboys. And then prior to that, I think it was when Des Bryant didn't catch the ball in the end zone, and it was ruled an incomplete pass when I think today it will be ruled a catch. Cowboys, the storyline of this one obviously is Mike McCarthy going up against his former team that he won a championship with, but no Aaron Rodgers. And you got Jordan Love going up against Dak Prescott. I want to say Jordan Love was pretty close to Dak in the touchdown stats this year as far as leaders in that category. Interesting matchup. I just think the Cowboys are the better team in this situation. But what do you think about this matchup, Steven?
No, the Cowboys have just been so dominant at home.
That's right.
So and Jordan Love and Dak Prescott right up there in touchdowns. Dak Prescott 36, along with 9 interceptions. Jordan Love 36-11. I think it could be a little bit more of an exciting game than the 7 is telling you. I think that's a massive spread, but the way the Packers are playing, they'll make it a game. But Dallas has just been so good at home this season, and this is what we predict every year. This is what I predicted going into the season. The Cowboys would kill it in the regular season. They'd get by in the wild card round. Then they'd lose in the divisional with whoever they have to face next. So I think you can kind of tell where I'm going after that. But I think it's going to be a fun game, though, especially with the way that the Packers have played as of late. It's just they might run into a buzzsaw with the Cowboys.
So which way are you going, Steven?
I'm going to, you know what? Give me the Packers to cover it. Okay. And give me the Cowboys to win, and I will take the over as it's in a dome. And I'll say this is going to be my prediction. If the Cowboys do lose, there's going to be another head coaching vacancy.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys lose, because if they fall to the Packers, who mostly stunk this season. I mean, a lot of people were saying Jordan Love was not an NFL quarterback midway through the year, but if the Cowboys lose in the wild card round, yeah, that's bye-bye Mike McCarthy.
No doubt, but I think it's pretty clear that Jordan Love has had a fantastic season.
Yeah.
I mean, 33 touchdowns. He did more in his first year as a starter than what Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers has done. Yeah, because they've been so dominant, I think they're the only undefeated team at home this season. The Dallas Cowboys. I could be wrong there. Not that I think that's right. I think that Matt LaFleur is a great coach, but I think the inexperience again here with Jordan Love is going to go in the Cowboys' favor. And like you said, Steven, they've been so dominant at home this year that I am going to lay the points. I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys to win, lay those points, and I will go over. I think that Mike McCarthy gets revenge on his old team, and Dak Prescott keeps having a kind of an MVP caliber season into the postseason.
Do you see the local TV in Green Bay? Didn't recognize who Jair Alexander was.
No, why?
He popped in walking out of the stadium.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I did see. Yeah, and the local reporter goes, "Hey, a local fan."
Yeah,
she had no clue who he was.
No idea.
Yeah.
Ooh, this is interesting. Just a little tidbit for the game. Aaron Jones is going to be healthy and playing in this one, and against the Steelers in his career, 370 yards and 6 touchdowns in his 3 previous matchups against Dallas. So Aaron, I mean, we're talking about Jordan Love. Aaron Jones could be the X factor here for the Cowboys if they do win.
Yeah, I do remember him having, I want to say, a 4-touchdown game a couple years ago when he was playing the Cowboys. So Aaron Jones, yeah, he does have good games. Is A.J. Dillon playing in this game by chance? Do you know?
I believe so. I'm not seeing him about anything about him being out.
I can't remember if he played. Let me look it up real quick. I can't remember if he played last week against the. That's been a big issue this season with the Packers is their receiving core and their running backs. I wonder what's going on with Christian Watson too.
Mm-hmm. And Alexander sprained his ankle in practice today.
Did he really? Oh shit.
Yeah.
Let me see. I just want to say real quick if A.J. Dillon played last week. He did not. So that's another reason why I would not pick the Cowboy or the Packers in this situation. So yeah,
Hmm.
I'm taking the Cowboys, laying the points, going over. Steven is taking the Cowboys, but he likes the Packers to cover. Then this is probably the marquee game of the weekend, the game that I really wanted to see. I think most NFL fans wanted to see this. Of course, the Detroit Lions have their first home playoff game in 30 years, and it has to be against arguably the greatest quarterback in their franchise, next to Bobby Lane. Matthew Stafford comes home against the Detroit Lions, and Jared Goff going up against his former team, Sean McVay, his former coach. This one is spicy as hell. Um, I guess already there's controversy because Kelly Stafford is pissed that there's a contingent of Lions fans that are trying to ban Stafford jerseys from showing up to the game, which, that seems kind of petty. Like, you can still root on the guy. But then again, this is kind of, Lions fans are taking this fucking serious. Like, this is the first playoff game in 30 years. I can understand why they're a little on edge. Yeah, what do you think of this matchup, Steven?
Yeah, well, for everything you just said. And do you know the 3 players that the trade for Stafford turned into other than Goff?
Ooh, great question. I do not.
Listen to this.
Okay.
Sam Laporta.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Well, he
Jimmy,
may not play.
he's not going to play, right?
He's out.
I don't know if it's 100%, but I mean, by the way it looked in that last game, I mean, I'd be shocked if he does play.
Yeah, good point.
They're optimistic he could play. So there you go.
Okay. So probably questionable.
Sam Laporta being one, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Jameson Williams. And they got Jared Goff. So that
all worked out.
So yeah, that's a rare trade where both sides you got a pretty good bargain there.
Yeah, but I would say the Rams won the deal because they won the Super Bowl.
Yeah. In the end, they did. But still something.
No, it's going to be interesting, and I wonder if we'll really get to how Jared Goff feels about Sean McVay. Because I'm sure he's like, I don't know if he feels bitter with him, but like it's pretty clear. Like I remember the last season with them together where Sean was basically just saying, like, I can't play with this guy. Like, this guy doesn't understand my offense. Kind of like a Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan situation where they got the job done, but both coaches wanted more. So it's going to be interesting. All right, Steven, I believe the Lions are favored in this one. They are favored by 3, and the over-under is 51.5.
Yeah, the Lions defense has actually been rolling as of late. They haven't given up more than 24 points, which they did to the Vikings. The last time they gave more than that was against the Bears on December 10th, and that's when they lost 28-13 to the Bears, and everyone was like, what the hell is happening with Detroit?
Yeah.
But ultimately, I think Stafford goes in there and lights them up with the way that offense has been just. Oh my God! Our downstairs neighbor's going crazy.
Screaming?
Jesus. Yeah, something. Maybe he's telling me to stop. But I think that. But I think Matt Stafford's going to get it done in the end. What was the point spread again? It's -3, 51.5, right? Yeah, just give me the over, and then. I got the Rams winning, man. I got them going into Detroit's house and Stafford getting one more win and disappointing a lot of Lions fans out there.
I think a big thing that's going to happen with the Lions is getting back C.J. Gardner-Johnson. That'll help with their defense that is already improving. But this is just too juicy not to play or not to pick the Rams in the situation. And I think McVay, knowing Goff and his tendencies, will help the Rams defense. And I think Stafford, this is just too good to pass up. If they win this game, they most likely will play the 49ers the next week. And I want to see that too. So it will be devastating to Lions fans, but it's just too good. So, yeah, I am going to take the Rams to win. And, God, it's 51.5. I'm going to go under. I'm going to go under on that.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the last game of the weekend is actually not happening on the weekend. It's on MLK Day. It's the Philadelphia Eagles against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on a Monday. And the Philadelphia Eagles are reeling big time. One of the biggest nosedives we've seen of a team that started 10-1 to go 11-6. And, they're just in the worst possible spot right now. We don't know if A.J. Brown's going to play. I listened to Jalen Hurts' press conference today. He has not picked up a football since Sunday's game, which is not good. From his finger popping, and he said that was a huge mistake to go back into that game after that happened. He should have just rested. Um, and then there was a weird moment. You see this, Stephen, where they asked him what was going on with AJ Brown, saying that they kind of improvised the last game against the Seahawks,
Mm-hmm.
and Jalen Hurts goes, "There's a lot of things you guys don't know. You guys don't know things that you don't know." Just speaking in like I think you said it, like he speaks in phrases.
Oh
Jalen
yeah, it
Hurts.
speaks in sound bites. Yeah.
Like I don't know what the hell that means, and this I don't love the vibe of what's going on with the Eagles right now. That being said, I don't really love what's going on with the Bucks all season. I would have like I know people are going to disagree with me on this. I would have much rather watched the Saints win that division. I know that they offensively didn't look good, but I think they played better defense. Kind of see what Derek Carr did with that team. I'm not a big like I Baker's fine. He actually played a really good season, but I don't know. Just I don't think the Bucks are that good. I think that they got by and they won 9 games. They kicked 3 field goals and beat the Panthers to win the division.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know about this game.
Right. I mean, they started off the season going what 4-7. They started off
Yeah.
the 4-7 before they rattled off 4 straight wins. So this is just a product of a late stretch. But dude, everything's been going wrong for the Eagles though.
Yeah.
And I don't think you could take that away. Like at the very least, the Buccaneers seem to be playing together. Like I thought it was just going to be a total. I thought with Baker Mayfield there, apparently these teammates really like him. They still don't have much of a run game. I think that's their biggest issue. They have it at some junctures, but I'm looking forward to seeing Mike Evans and whatnot. Although I can agree with you though. Even though I don't think he would have played all that great, I would be curious to see Derek Carr in the playoffs and what he could do just from a Raider fan standpoint. I would have been very much more interested in that than I am now. But yeah, this matchup on Monday night, I don't know about it. I don't know about it.
I'm not. It's honestly like I much rather watch Bills Steelers than this, to be completely honest. We saw this earlier in the year. I think like week 3 on Monday Night Football, and it was not a great game. But who knows? It could be great. Who knows at this point? Things change in the playoffs. So the Philadelphia Eagles are 3-point favorites, and the over/under is 43.5.
Yeah, I got the Bucks taking this one, man, and the upset. I get it, and give me the under. And this 43.5 is a lot going into that.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me being stubborn with these Eagles that they'll turn things around, but I just think that they're the better team and they'll find a way. I don't know if AJ Brown will play, but I think that if Jalen Hurts is good enough to throw, then he'll be good. He can get by with Devontae Smith. And I think the Eagles defense can actually get to the Buccaneers offensive line. I know that's asking a lot because they haven't done anything defensively the last 5 weeks. I know, like, but there's some times where teams slump going into the playoffs and then they just find their groove again. I don't know how to explain it. It could just be that I'm being dumb and just wanting to see the better team win. So I'm going to take the Eagles to win. I'm going to lay the points, and I'm going to go. I'm going to go over because I don't think either of these defenses could stop these offenses.
God,
but I could be totally wrong. I think the Buccaneers could have their way against the Eagles, but
lose their last 2 games against the Cardinals and the Giants.
Yeah, I know.
Their quarterback is hurt. AJ Brown has an issue with his knee, and the quarterback is saying there's a lot going on in this locker room that you don't know about. I'm picking the Eagles to win. Lay the points with them. Bold.
Hey man, it always makes for the best storylines when the whole world was against us, no one believed in us, and then we won the game.
Yeah.
But I totally understand why this sounds nuts of my analysis.
Man, I know they went. What is it, 11-5? That's how, or the what?
11-6.
11-6. Excuse me, not 11-5. There's not 16 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's been great the past couple of years, but with the way that Jalen Hurts has talked about him and the fact that some players are moving on, Nick Sirianni, if they lose to the Buccaneers,
no, I don't think so. Not yet. We'll see
Not
what
real.
happens. We'll see what happens next season. But I'm not saying he's not off the hot seat for next season if they don't turn this around. But after the Super Bowl this year and them having a good start, no, I don't think they're firing Sirianni.
Hmm. I think it's going to be a conversation, though.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'll be talk in the off season that he needs to make the right coaching moves.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has to fire Patricia slash Sean Desai and fire. I think it's Brian Johnson, who's the offensive coordinator. He needs to get better coaches in there.
Yeah.
A big deal of why they were not successful down the stretch is because they didn't adapt. We all saw most of the season when they were 10-1 that they were not that good, just because I thought their offense was basic and their defense just got by. So
No, I was telling you all season long. I hadn't
yeah,
seen them. I hadn't seen them leave that much open space. I didn't see that much green grass watching the Eagles defense as I did like compared to last year. It was just it was night and day. And from
yeah.
2022 to 2023, or yeah, 2022 to 2023.
I like this one right here. Jabroni of the year for a JYOM idea from AJ Cruz, Nick
Nice.
Sirianni, and Big Dom. You know what? Eagles have not been the same team since Big Dom got suspended the rest of the season and not allowed on the sidelines.
It's tough not having that security guard, knowing that there's someone there to protect you, even though you have like a billion other security guards at the stadium. Like you don't need your guy who's, going to drive you to the
strip club
restaurant later.
Oh yeah, that too.
After the game.
Yeah. I will say though, Jalen Hurts did play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a playoff game a couple years ago, and he did not look good. Now it's a totally different team, and that was the Tom Brady Bucks. But Jalen Hurts, that's when that offseason he changed. He had the MVP, almost MVP season a year ago, and now he hasn't looked great. But for whatever reason, I'm blindly going with the Eagles because
they'll lose. He'll give another soundbite that gives them hope moving forward next year, and I won't let this happen again. This season was a fluke. We'll be back. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it may just be me being like, I just don't want to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers advance. I just don't.
So, keep going.
No. I was gonna say whoever they play, if in my scenario they would play the Dallas Cowboys, and I don't think anybody wants to see a Cowboys Bucks matchup.
So, did you write those down?
I did, yes.
All right. So, what I'm gathering here, I need to pull up the playoff bracket. But what I'm gathering here is you had the Rams beating the Lions, right?
Yep.
So it's likely we get a Rams and the 49ers in the divisional round.
Yep.
And then the Cowboys into you, the Eagles in the divisional round for the NFC.
Yes, and if the Bucks win in this scenario, they would play the Cowboys.
Okay. And then you had so you had the Browns beating the Texans.
I do.
And then you have the Chiefs beating the Dolphins and the Bills beating the Steelers. So you got the Browns and the Ooh, that'll be a fun little AFC North divisional round.
Flacco versus the Ravens, yeah.
Flacco versus the Ravens, okay. And then you'll have Buffalo playing Kansas City.
Yep.
All right. That'll be, you know what? It's shaping up to be a pretty nice divisional round.
Pretty nice.
Pretty. Although, come on, man, that'd be pretty sick to see CJ Stroud and Lamar Jackson going toe to toe. I think,
no doubt. But we saw that week 1 this season. I think everybody wants to see Joe Flacco go into Baltimore.
Okay, well, who do you think has the tougher matchup then? I mean, let's say your scenario plays out and it's the Browns Ravens in the divisional round and the Niners Rams in the divisional round, which I mean, both teams very familiar. Obviously, Flacco and the Ravens. That's the same thing as Stafford and the Lions.
Yeah.
You got that, and then you obviously have the history of the Rams and the Niners. Like, which one do you see as more of I don't know about that for the 1 seed?
Browns.
Yeah.
Browns are sneaky because their defense is up there as one of the best, if not the Ravens is. I mean, I hear everybody saying like the Rams would be the team that the Niners don't want to see because of Stafford and the offense and whatnot, but I still think the Niners would kick the Rams' ass at this point in the playoffs. It would be closer. It would probably be the closest matchup they would have as far as the NFC teams, but I still think they get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I mean, 28-3 Ravens over the Browns in the first matchup. Then it was 33-31 in the middle of November. They haven't played each other since.
Yep. So we'll see. And basically, I'm picking all these games just to get interesting matchups next week of the divisional round. So there you go. Those are our picks for Super Wild Card Weekend. We'll see what happens this weekend. Before we get out of here, we'll talk about the Warriors. Dear God, after last night, I don't know about this team, man. So they get the shit kicked out of them by the Toronto Raptors on Sunday. And then Steve Kerr says, we got punched in the mouth. We're not going to play like that and ever again this season. And then last night on national TV, a 5:30, you know, tip off here in the Bay Area for all the world to see. The Pelicans give them the worst game they played this season. They lose by 36. They allowed 46 points in the first quarter. And it's just not an excuse anymore of, well, they don't have Draymond. Draymond's not going to help them. I don't think even Pascal Siakam's going to help them. I hear all of these trade scenarios, and to me, it's all just, can they go from being a terrible team, one of the worst teams in the Western Conference, as the 12th seed currently, or can they get up to the 6th seed? And at this point, I don't think it matters. I think they have to start considering tearing this thing down. And that's hard for a lot of Warrior fans to hear. But I think, as Shams Charania put today, or Shams, anything's on the table now. Steph Curry is the only untouchable player on the roster. If it were up to me, I would look to trade Wiggins. I would look to trade Chris Paul. I would look to trade Draymond Green. And if for the right price, I would look to trade Klay Thompson. And I know this is not going to be fun for Steph Curry, and especially Joe Lacob, who's never had this thought in his mind or never said these words. I think they need to start a rebuild with Steph Curry. And that's dangerous because you never want to say we're having a rebuild with a star player. But at this point, I don't see how they get better with what's going on. The roster's aging. This is not the same team we saw before. I wonder about Steve Kerr's interest in coaching beyond this season. But I think that they should attempt to do what the Bulls tried to do years ago, where they were going to do a rebuild with Michael Jordan, and then Michael told them, I'm retiring. And Steph Curry's getting paid handsomely. I understand that this would kind of waste a couple seasons. Maybe they make some more moves to get him a better roster in the foreseeable future. But as of right now, this is what happens when you dip into the luxury tax and you have the most expensive team in all of American sports. I think they got to tear it down. I think they got to tear it down with Steph Curry.
They're not going to.
I know they're not, but I think that's the smart move.
I don't think there's any smart move right now. I think what they're going to do is, I think they're going to play it out with Draymond, Klay, and Steph for the remainder of the year. I think Steve Kerr is going to play out the remainder of the year. Anyone who's saying fire Steve Kerr, you're wasting your breath. You're wasting your Twitter fingers, which is what a lot of Warrior fans are nowadays, which is what a lot of NBA fans are nowadays. You'll find that a lot are just scrolling through Twitter and not actually watching the games. It's like, how can you watch a high-paced game and tweet 30,000 tweets during a game? It's like you're obviously not watching. You're just focused on giving your takes. But anyway, actually, let me go off on that real quick, because I saw like a few things where they're saying Steve Kerr should be fired, and it's like,
stop.
Do you think that it could be solved just by firing the head coach? Do you think all your issues can be solved? No, he's at least done enough to where he's earned the right to play it out for the rest of the season and then make his own decision, because it's pretty likely that he's going to go elsewhere anyway. And so it's like, what's the point of firing? Or it's pretty likely, I think, that his contract's going to expire and he's just not going to be with the Warriors. I think it's pretty likely.
You think so? No,
I think they'll have discussions about it, but I don't think Kerr wants to be part of a rebuild. Maybe he does, but I don't know if he wants to see this through. I think right now what you're going to see is Andrew Wiggins. And unfortunately, if you want to get anything If you want to get anything of substance for him, you're going to have to add one of those pieces. And with that Shams Charania report where he said they like Jonathan Kuminga, they like Pajemski, they like Trace Jackson Davis. Again, one name I didn't hear was Moses Moody. And that's who I want to give credit to, actually. Moses Moody, he comes out and rattles off 4 straight threes into the second half, has 21 points, led the team. I just love this guy. And I hate that I'm saying I'm putting him in a trade with Wiggins, but Wiggins has been so bad this year that the only way you're going to get anything back for him is to add some other piece. If not, you're just going to be doing a contract dump. And I see the Cavs are in play for it. And I don't know who they'd get from the Cavs. I'm sure he'd help them out. Of course, Kings fans want Wiggins for Harrison Barnes, but they're just getting Harrison Barnes light with Wiggins. Like he's not interested anymore. He's checked out. He's done.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're definitely going to make some moves. I don't know what it's going to be, but my guess is if they might package those two. That's my guess if they want to get anything for Wiggins.
Wiggins and Moody?
Yeah.
What do you think about Draymond being traded?
I don't think any team wants him.
I've heard differently. We had Bobby Marks on today and we had Mark Spears on today, and both of them said that there is a market for Draymond, surprisingly. Given the contract and his playing style.
I love those guys, but they say a lot.
No, I get it. Yeah, man, I just don't think they can't continue forward like this, though. Like, every dynasty comes to an end, and it's usually ugly because most teams just can't accept that this team's not going to compete anymore. And the smart teams kind of tear it down. Like, now I kind of see what the former GM of the Bulls, that his name is escaping me at the moment, that what was going down when they won their championship in 1998 and why that he wanted to do that, because it just wasn't going to happen.
Jerry Krause?
Yeah, Jerry Krause. I mean, Michael Jordan made fun of him for being short and fat, but he did see the vision. Now, there was a whole thing of him having an ego trip with Phil Jackson, but I do understand that in sports, you got to rebuild the roster. You got to make the tough decisions. And last night, like, it was just so bad. That game being on national TV. And you know what? I understand. Like I told a lot of Warriors fans, you have to kind of accept what's going on right now and embrace it and enjoy what happened in the past. But they also have the right to boo, 100%. You're paying that amount of money for tickets, for how expensive that new stadium is, that new arena. You have all around the world to show up and boo them. And it's not because you're not grateful of what happened in the past, but if you're going to show up to home games and this team is fragile, as Steve Kerr said, and not confident, then yeah, they have all the right in the world to boo. And I don't know, like, I know Klay Thompson has criticized the fans of the past, saying like they're not loud enough, they're not showing the game on time. I didn't care for how pissed off he looked. Like, I don't give a damn about we're going to lose sleep over it. Steph Curry have the more diplomatic answer, but fans have the right to boo right now. They do. Like, this is not a good product.
No. And I love how it sparks the argument about, Chase Center fans compared to Oracle Arena fans, and, only fake Warrior fans are booing this team and whatever. I'm like, if this team was as good as it was, and they were still playing at Oracle Arena and it still had the same fans, and you weren't booing them for what they did, then you'd look like a clown. You could be silent, but if you're cheering for them still when they're down by 41 points to the Pelicans, you'd look like a joke if you were in that Oracle. I'm telling you, it's just, we have this weird thing where we get up on our high horse every single time something like this happens at Chase Center, just because we have such an allegiance to Oracle Arena. And I get it, but like, good God, be fair and balanced when talking about this stuff. And Jesse weighing in. I told Steven last night it was good they were on national television. They need the extra criticism. Yeah, she was talking about how Mike Breen and Doc Rivers, she made fun of Doc Rivers' voice, by the way. She didn't have good things to say about that. Might get her on for Just Your Opinion, ma'am, so she can come crap on Doc Rivers' voice.
Ma'am. That's not bad, Steven.
Yeah. But yeah, she was mentioning how like they weren't afraid to call out how quiet it was in that arena.
Yeah.
And I think that also speaks to though, like, I think people will understand why Steve Kerr makes the moves that he makes. Communication is a huge deal.
Yeah.
And Chris Paul not being on the floor, Draymond not being on the floor, nobody's communicating out there. That's why he shifted the entire starting lineup in one of those games in this homestand. I think it was the one against the Mavericks. I can't remember which. But yeah, like there's no communication, man. This team's off. They've lost all of it.
No, they've lost all of it. And I don't want to hear any more about Steve Kerr's, losing the team and he doesn't know the right lineups or whatnot. This team is just not very good. Like you just said yourself, Steven, like they lost to the Pelicans. That's how we view other teams in the NBA. NBA fan or the Warriors fans have been spoiled for so long where it's like we're going to lose to the Magic or the Raptors or the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yes, the Warriors are now in the lower tier of NBA teams.
Yeah.
And that sucks. But that's just the reality right now. And
Yeah.
I'm also with you. If this team was still playing at Oracle Arena, how passionate those Oakland fans were, they boo this team off the court. Like you can't justify what's going on right now. This is terrible. It's a terrible product. They are worse than what they were a season ago. And I'm not saying they made any wrong moves with Jordan Poole or whatnot, but they are worse. They are older, they're slower, and they're not as good.
It's pretty remarkable that we can consider the Pelicans the worst loss of the season, because the Pelicans are actually a good team. They're on the up and up. Zion's solid. He's healthy. Herb Jones is a fantastic player. I think they nabbed him in the second round. It's just so great pickup for them. Just everybody on that team humming. And CJ McCollum, they got CJ McCollum to be like the stabilizing force in that roster. So they got a lot of nice pieces. They were just executing. I actually thought the worst. I mean, I didn't think it could get any worse than the Raptors.
Yeah.
Like the Raptors aren't a good team. They're in a rebuild right now. And their star is Scotty Barnes. It's my Darko Rajakovic impression.
It's crap.
It's crap. It's total crap. It's absurd. Scotty Barnes is face of NBA in the future, and you don't let him go to the line. He goes there twice. This is crap.
The Raptors are going to win championship, and I'm taking over the moon.
You didn't have to go full Gru on Darko.
I did.
Despicable you.
Yeah.
Just that's how bad the Pelicans loss was. Like I thought it couldn't get any worse than the Raptors when you're just blown out at home by Toronto.
Yeah. I mean, it was the worst loss just stat-wise because that's the most points they lost by this season, 36. But it's been ugly all season long, man. Like I just can't justify going forward with this team anymore. And Clay's not playing great. I don't know what's going on with Draymond. Hopefully when he comes back, he's all in on basketball. I think there's people that want to see Kuminga still play with this team. But I got to be honest. I think Kuminga has all the talent in the world and all of the potential, but he's more of a flashy player than what needs to happen with this Warriors team. Now I would give it a chance and maybe move Draymond before I move Kuminga just to see if they could find a role for him because they got to start playing the younger guys more, in my opinion. But I don't know, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, no, it all started though with the Wiseman draft.
Yeah,
like that's where it started. And that pick changed everything. You know, I mean, even from before that though, like their first round picks never really panned out. Obviously, we got the Jordan Poole thing, but like if James Wiseman would have panned out, then there might not have been a need to keep Draymond around. Kevon Looney, there might not have been a need to keep him around. Looney has been a liability on the court. It's great that we're going for this active streak, but how much longer can we take this active streak before we say like, Jesus, he shouldn't see the court for more than 6 or 7 minutes a game anymore. It's like he's very slow nowadays.
Yeah.
Which is sad to say because Looney's one of the best and he's the ultimate professional. And he's the one that's been keeping a level head through all of this, really. But it's just It's tough, man. It's tough to dissect. It's tough to fix. There's no one way to do it. But changes are coming before February 8th. Sam Cooke.
But do you think just getting a big name like a Zach LaVine or Pascal Siakam's gonna fix everything?
Not this year, but I think it gives you something to look forward to next year. I mean,
Yeah.
it gives you a piece, it gives you something. I mean, Pascal Siakam's a really good player, so I think that gives you something to build off of in the offseason. It's not going to help him this season.
No. No, I mean it could be like when they traded for Wiggins when they had the 15-win season, but yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like this is the end, and it goes with a whimper instead of a bang. So it sucks, but this is why I'm telling everybody enjoy what they had in the past, because we might see those Chris Cohan days, not like literally, but we might see those bad days coming again for the Warriors.
Well, could be worse. You could be the Trailblazers, who just lost by 62 to the Thunder today.
Jesus, that was the final score, 62 points?
139 to 77.
Good God. And I saw I mean, it's not fair because they were playing on a back-to-back. They went to overtime, but the Celtics got destroyed by the Bucks tonight, didn't they, on TNT?
Yep.
They actually left that broadcast. Like Ernie Johnson came out, was like, well, usually when we have the Celtics and Bucks playing, that's must-see TV, but not tonight. You're damn right about that, Ernie. Before we get out of here real quick, we've been talking about the ESPN wars with Aaron Rodgers and Pat McAfee. How about McAfee saying yesterday, we're not going to have Aaron Rodgers on the rest of the season? Because I'm sure someone higher up said, no more. We're not having all these theories and craziness. It's done. Until Rodgers is getting ready to play for the Jets, we're not having Rodgers on. And then sure enough, Rodgers is on today to talk strictly football, which I can appreciate. I would much rather hear him talk about the NFL playoffs. I think that was kind of also a fuck you to ESPN from McAfee's perspective. But if McAfee told Rodgers, hey man, it's huge when you come on, but if we just talk football, cool. If we're talking about Epstein and all this shit that we're getting in trouble for, that I can't have it anymore. Do you think that's what happened?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Of course. Screw Aaron. I thought you were going to bring up the college game day thing.
No, what happened there?
You didn't see this little scandal type thing?
No. Oh, yes. They changed their names?
Yes. So for whatever reason, I don't know why. I still don't understand why, but The Athletic did a deep dive into this and did a little investigative journalism, which is refreshing to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess College Game Day has been rigging it so that when they get Emmys for their show, for the show specifically, College Game Day, then they can give it to their personalities, because their personalities can't be up for an individual award. So like most outstanding broadcaster or most outstanding analyst, whatever.
Right.
And they can't be up for one of those and up for a team or a show award at the same time.
Huh.
So what they did was they created fake names, listed them as like for different jobs on the show, like associate producers or whatever. And yeah, so basically they get multiple Emmys in the same year, even though one of them is fake and they're not allowed to get it. It was for College Game Day. Where are the fake names at? Yeah, they had all of them here. Yeah, Kirk Herbstreit was Kirk Henry. Lee Corso was Lee Clark. Desmond Howard was Dirk Howard. Tom Rinaldi, Tim Richard. Sam Ponder, Stephen Ponder. Gene Washikowski, whatever his name is. Gene Wilson. Chris Fowler was Chris Fulton. Shelley Saunders was Shelley Smith. And where's my favorite one? Aaron Andrews was Eric Andrews. Yeah.
So how did the Emmy committee not fucking realize this?
They haven't, because they just never put two and two together. But I guess
that's insane. Someone
did a little investigating, and so they take those names, then they re-engrave it, and then give it to them. I think Linda Cohn kind of told on herself because Linda Cohn got a couple for like Sports Center or something,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then they had to give those Emmys back because they weren't rightfully theirs. It's a huge thing. What I don't understand is though, like, what's the incentive there? Like, what's the point? Just so they could have multiple Emmys and stick around with your show?
Absolutely. But I think that's also, I mean, like fair on College Game Day to cheat the system and no one noticed. But at the same time, like, yeah, it's like a Milli Vanilli situation where they have to give the Emmys back.
Exactly. And apparently they didn't know that they got those
How
fake
long?
Emmys
How long has that been going on for?
since 2010.
Oh my God! How did nobody at the Emmys see that? That's insane. That's absolutely insane. You know what? More power to College Game Day, because John Curley was telling me that Fortinbaugh told him the whole uh, the way that ESPN uses their finances for each show, and College Game Day usually gets like a blank check to do whatever they want because I think it's one of the more profitable shows on ESPN. But good for them, man, for doing it for Jesus. It's 2010.
Yep.
They've been forging names or making up names. That's
That's what.
insane.
Yep. Yep.
Hey, you know what?
The Athletic Recruit reviewed the credit list for the years the show won in 2010, 2011, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, and 2018. In each of those 7 years, names similar to the names of on-air personalities and with identical initials were listed all under the title of associate producers.
That's insane. So I would say two things. They should have to give their Emmys back, but also, hey, good for them to try to cheat the system for as long as they did.
My favorite story of the week.
Well, what about Stephen A. Smith going after Jason Whitlock?
That's another good one.
I don't know what the backstory is there, but like, God, the media itself, the people that talk about sports, like putting themselves into news stories now is kind of annoying. Pat McAfee, College Game Day, and now Stephen A. Smith with Jason Whitlock. But I gotta say, thoroughly entertaining. I don't know what the background is between Jason Whitlock and Stephen A. Smith, but I thoroughly enjoy Stephen A. Smith just saying in his voice, "You betrayed me, you bitch, you fat piece of shit." Like, I don't know what's going on there, but I know what? I'm not giving Jason Whitlock the benefit of the doubt because that guy's a scumbag.
Yeah, well, what turned into journalists becoming guys who would tell.
Oh, hey, Phoebe.
Hey, Phoebe. No, nope. What are you doing? Stop it. Get away. Jesus.
It's not anything I'm used to. I got Tom's cat always hopping up on the live stream.
Look at this. Look at this damn cat. She's just so adorable. Cutie. Yeah. Yeah. She wants attention. What was I going to say? Where was I? Oh, yeah. It used to be like these guys were there kind of trying to tell the stories of, you know, what's happening in sports, but now it's all about the personalities. Like no one even cares about like the sports they're actually talking about. It's always based on this guy's take, what this guy thinks. It's not, you know, putting the emphasis on the actual players. And that's kind of what's bothered me over the past however long.
Yeah. No, I mean,
Stephen A. Smith's become much bigger than just a guy who gives takes. He's like, I mean, he's beyond that. And I don't know if that's right for being on ESPN and everything. How can you take anything he says seriously except for him going off on Whitlock?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I mean, that's just what sports media is today, where you become bigger than the stories that you tell. You gotta make the news yourself, apparently.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, whatever. It's entertaining, I guess. But I don't know if it's right. All right, Steven. That's all I got for tonight. Anything you want to bring up?
No, just shout out to Rajakovic, Darko Rajakovic, with that all-time coaching rant.
Yeah, it was worth the $25K that he got fined today.
100%.
100%.
And the NBA is not even going to do anything to change whatever he was complaining about. They're just going to keep on going along like casual, like business as usual.
Yep. Well, that's it for tonight. I hope everybody enjoys the wildcard weekend games. I hope I have internet by the next time we do this podcast, because it's cool doing the podcast here at KBR. I could be louder than usual at my apartment in Oakland, but now I got to go home and edit this podcast, which takes even more time. So hopefully I get my internet back soon. Look at Phoebe.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
All right, to all the Ernies. Well, not all the Ernies. Where the hell was Ernie one tonight? We got AJ Cruz here. I think everybody's not used to us doing 2 shows in a week like we did it like way back in the day. But that's what we're going to try to do going forward for the postseason. So be on the lookout, guys, for shows on Tuesday and Thursday. Thanks to Ernie 2, Otis Bird, and AJ Cruz, and Jesse for hopping on this week or for this episode. Steven, Phoebe, say what you always say.
It's just our opinion.
Oh, God.